Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Writers Mindscape, the #1 writing podcast on the 01 podcast group. Hold on. The number's correct. It's correct?
It is. The numbers are in, and we're still #1 here.
Thank God you stopped talking about writing on any other podcast.
I know.
But anyway, we are the #1 podcast. I am Tim.
I'm Adam.
And today we are continuing with our new series on magic. We are going to be covering Brandon Sanderson's 3 Laws. If you do not know who Brandon Sanderson is, I recommend checking out his books. We'll probably put up maybe a link down in the description.
Maybe.
No, we're not getting paid to talk about him.
I'm really bad about putting links in.
You need to get better at that.
I know I do.
Loser. Anyway, Brandon Sanderson is a sci-fi fantasy writer. He's actually one of the better ones out there. He was pretty well known when he started. But when he got handpicked to finish the Wheel of Time series by Jorgensen's widow, that just kind of boosted him up there even more. Nice. He was going to get there anyway because he's a really good writer. I recommend checking out his first novel, Elantris.
Okay.
It's a play off Atlantis. And it's actually his take kind of on it.
Oh, nice.
In the fantasy world. Also, the Mistborn series is a really good work of fiction you should listen to, or for Audible or read. Your choice. I've been doing the audio books, and also his Stormlight Archive series, which is a huge, thick books. If you want a long book, that's the series to check out. It's going to be 10 in the series. Only 3 have been published.
Oh, wow.
And he has a bunch of other works out there as well, and some short stories. He is known as the Magic Guy because he loves Magic series. And the Sanderson 3 Laws are actually 3 laws that he uses to refine his magic system.
Okay.
So we're going to cover those really quickly today.
Yeah.
Because they're a really good way to look at things. Things, stuff, items, matter,
yes.
non-matter,
okay,
antimatter.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, I went there. Okay, so if you are someone who likes the more of a wonderful, awe-inspiring type of magic system, these still can apply to you, as we'll cover in the future episodes. Rules of magic. Even if you want to do that, you should have rules. For yourself, at least. And this will help with that. So we're going to go with the first law of Sanderson. And this is actually kind of pertaining more to the awe-inspiring, or a cliche that became a big problem for fantasy. And that is, an author's ability to solve conflict with magic is directly proportional to how well the reader understands magic. What does that mean to you, Adam?
For me, it means that, the better the reader understands the rules of your magic world, or the magic within your world,
yep,
the easier they can accept how well it it does things to solve conflict.
Exactly. I mean, one of the cliches of fantasy was, I've written my characters into a situation that I can't get out of. Magic!
Yes.
And work just started.
Well, yeah, because, it would be and you have a magic wand, and that gets you out of this.
Yep.
Or
a new spell just comes.
Yeah, a new spell shows up.
But it became a cliche and an ex-day machina type excuse.
I like to use the word MacGuffin.
Yeah.
It was just here you go. You have a reason to get out of this.
And it just, if you do it really well, I'm okay with it. And
yeah.
You actually are building to a god is going to stop this, basically, then fine.
Right.
It's not the best way to do it, but at least you foreshadowed it.
You look at, D&D. As a mage, you attend school to learn the craft. Yeah. So it's there are rules.
Yep.
About how it's set up.
And that's the thing. If you downright know how magic works in your system, feel free to use that magic to solve the problems, because you know how it works. And if someone does something they can't do, you can call the author on their bullshit.
Right.
Unless you then later find out that is possible by a law that the reader doesn't know.
Right.
Some people would probably say, I'm going to hold off until book 6, and to reveal that, probably not the best thing to do.
No. But it can be done.
But it can be done, but if you do it right, yeah.
Oh, if you do it right, it becomes a magical moment. But if you do it badly, you just kind of like, oh, now you're finally getting around to explaining that. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. This sounds more like you put this in there to fix that problem so people will stop bitching about it.
Right.
No. You gotta fix it. But
all right, what's the second law?
before we go in there, I just want to cover the difference between a soft and a hard magic system.
Okay.
Like we were kind of talking about, soft is the reader does not know, or the main character you're following does not understand how magic works. Good examples of this is not J.K. Rowling, J.R.R. Tolkien, and George R.R. Martin. They are very fond of soft magic systems. If you know those authors well, they know the rules.
They probably have all of their rules already spelled out, but
you're never going to learn it.
You, as the audience, know as much as the lay person within their world, which they don't fully understand how magic works.
Yep, and they're not gonna reveal it.
Right.
And if you go, why won't we learn this? And Martin's like, I hate magic.
Yeah.
But I know I need to have it in there, so this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And he's a good enough writer to know how to do that really well. And then you have hard magic systems that you know the rules.
Yes.
Good examples of this are in J.K. Rowling, though hers is more of an actual dead center in a sense.
Yeah, she hits that dead center where it's a lot of wonder, where it's just like, okay, we don't fully understand how all this magic works.
We understand magic from Harry's point of view.
Right.
That's it. Even by the 7th book, still doesn't know a lot.
No,
Hermione knows more.
Yeah. It's a lot about, there's rules. You have to cast a spell.
Yep.
You have to know that spell to be able to cast it.
Yep.
But at the same time, there's still, you can not have to say words to be able to cast spells every once in a while.
That comes out in the later books.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. It's a actually good medium where Sanderson, his books are the hard magic systems. You know how the rules. Good example are Mistborn. Metalborn. You need metal and what each metal does in his.
It's very regimented.
Yep. In his Stormlight archive, if you're this kind of a user of Stormlight, this is the things you can kind of do. It's very limited, not limited, but very spelled out. You're still learning stuff.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, you can see the rules that have been revealed.
Nice
for that. All right. So the second rule is limitation is greater than power.
Well, yes.
I hate this rule, but it's very true though.
Well, I mean, you look at anything that's truly successful. I mean, go to just characters in general outside of magic for a second. Every hero is defined by its enemies.
Yeah.
And its weakness.
And that's the thing, which is why there's so much. It's so hard to do a good Superman movie these days. He's so powerful to find that balance.
Right.
And do it well. Not easy when you have someone so powerful as Superman.
Yeah, especially within, you're given a short amount of time to tell a story.
Yeah. And like I said, I have an issue with this. And it's not like I disagree with this rule. It's absolutely true. I just like systems that you can do anything you want with them. But you have to be able to get there.
Right.
I mean, there's still rules, so there are still limitations. And breaking down what limitations can be, it's really like what can and can't happen. And that. Can your mage alter reality permanently?
Who knows?
That's something that I like to see, but that's a very powerful person. How do you stop something like that?
Right.
So limitations, okay, maybe you can do this, but the spell to do it is 2 years of nonstop, basically.
You have systems that are based purely, like Full Metal Alchemist.
Yes.
Theirs is purely based upon alchemy.
Yeah. It's
you can do pretty much anything.
But the law of equivalent exchange is there.
Right. No matter what.
And when you try to violate that,
there are drastic, like a cost to pay still.
Yeah.
And so no matter what, that rule still hasn't actually been broken.
No.
Like, what the cost is more than you want, or not what you would expect.
Yep. And that's one of the things. If you break the rules, there can be limitations. Now, bending the rules is a different thing, though.
Right.
So if you know the rules, you can bend them in your way. But also, if you break them, a consequence. It's a book series. I can't remember. It's like a pattern of light and dark. Mm-hmm. I've only done the first book, but it's very clear. If you go bend the rules too far, you are snuffed out of existence.
Wow.
Because it's not what is supposed to work. And I'm like, that's cool. You can do some. It seems like you can do some pretty cool things in it, but you go too far, you will go away.
All right.
And then other things are weaknesses and costs. And one of the examples of this, going back with like the Wheel of Time series, it's more of a women-dominated doing magic because I guess from what I understand of the story, there's a continual wheel of a villain coming back, and the last time the villain came back, he poisoned and was defeated. He poisoned the male source.
Okay.
So when men do magic, they eventually get they risk going insane.
Okay.
Whereas the women's do not. So there's a cost, there's a risk there. And I think and there's also cost for them to do it as well, but not that extreme because their way of doing it has been corrupted. Then you have in Sanderson's own Stormlight archive, you need Stormlight to do the stuff.
Okay.
Also in Mistborn, you need metal. Different metals do different things, so if you run out of your burning metal, well, you can't do anything anymore.
That's pretty cool.
So there's definitely like things like that. So when you're building a system, you need to have these in place. Also having these limitations on there when you're doing a wonderful or an awe-inspiring type of system magic.
Yeah.
A soft magic system, to be more clear. Knowing this, what the limitation is, will help prevent you from using that system as a writer to solve an issue that can't be to happen. Because the readers and the characters don't know. You do. You know what magic can do, and it therefore can't solve the problem. So.
All right.
We'll dive more into rules and all that stuff in a different episode, but just to kind of throw that out there.
Yeah.
And then the final law is expand on what you already have before adding something new.
Oh, come on.
And this makes a lot of sense because it's very easy to... This is how you get depth versus shallow in your magic. It's very easy to I have this idea, but it won't work with this, so I'll just do this one. No, that is not saying you can't do that. But before you add that in, take what you have and expand upon it. If you're doing a series, this is what you should be doing. Whatever you reveal in your first book is just the basics and the layering, the first level. And then as you go deeper and deeper into the story, you can reveal more and more about your magic and what it can do. Maybe your villain is able to do something that you do not explain right off the bat. But it's very clear because your consequences aren't showing up. Therefore, you're like, it's possible, but you don't know why because you haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
And then one of the things later on, you can show that. And one of the examples I just kind of said, like doing something your readers don't know can be done, and just waiting for a while to pay that off. That's how you can kind of do it. If no consequences happen, clearly it's possible.
Yeah. You
just don't know how or why or how to do it, and you can get there.
All right, that's cool.
And also having interconnection. I'm actually going to read this little thing from the Copper Mind, is where Sanderson keeps all the mythology for his Cosmere universe. Another important point is to interconnect. Make the powers of a character seem coherent rather than separate abilities. In the Mistborn, for example, magics are designed to be what thieves would want, and then have the powers named accordingly. Tying the powers together thematically is an important part of world building and expands the world rather than adding to it.
All right.
And it's very true. In the very first trilogy, it deals more with thieves, and one of the best known out there for a thief to have is the pewter arm, which is when you burn pewter, you become tougher. You can take a lot more of a hit. Like it's hard to take them down.
That's pretty cool.
A thief would want that.
Yeah.
Especially if they get caught and they're getting beat. They
Yeah.
can just burn that. And also they kind of get more. They also kind of get a little more strength in them. But it's more meant on durability than actual additional strength.
So, I mean, while running away, they could just jump off the top of a building, land, and just keep going.
Yeah. Their bones aren't going to break.
Right.
All that stuff, which is kind of cool.
Superhero landing.
Yeah.
Terrible on the knees.
Superhero landing. It's going to do a superhero landing.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome. Terrible on the knees. So, and then the other thing is, other than interconnecting, which is really cool, and that is, I mean, if you want a more jagged system, and there's a reason for it, then you don't need to do interconnecting. But if you want a more coherent, a more believable system, have that interconnection. And then the other thing is streamlining. It's very important to do that. Again, I'm going to read a little thing from the blog that Sanderson has here. Combining pre-existing magics and powers is often better than adding new ones. A different culture reacting to magic entirely differently than what you've been shown so far is often better than a culture in its own unique, unrelated magic system. For example, simply heating and generating magic may be used by different cultures in very different ways. A warlike culture might be use it as an assault or forging weapons. A peaceful one will using it to heat food, for merchants to making products, nomads for power, transportation, and so on. Very true.
Very nice.
Streamlining, making it so everything kind of works differently in a different way based on what your cultures and all that can do, makes sense. Again, the better you can use everything to add to the world overall is better than just making it so separate, own unique things. When we get into cultures and all that, which Adam's going to have a field day with,
yes,
because he'll finally be able to have the social and society drama that he loves.
Oh my god, I love it.
That's going to be like 2 weeks of podcasts.
I don't know, maybe.
It's going to be 2 weeks.
Could be.
Only 2 weeks. It's not that much. But no. So, but streamlining that. And it's very important, like, not just interconnection, going back to interconnection within your magic system, but interconnection with your world.
Yeah.
Is how you can do that. Look at Avatar. It's not a magic system, but the
yeah, you have like this bending ability, and each nation decided kind of on an element that they were able to use.
Actually, I was going with Avatar the movie, not the actual Avatar, but it's still a good point.
I mean,
and
it's technically a magic system.
It is. It's actually a really hard magic system.
Yes.
You know what you can and can't do, and you're constantly learning new things. We learned lightning bending in the first series. You learned metal bending in the first series.
But you didn't learn lightning bending until, like, much later in that first series.
Same thing with metal bending. And then, when you get to the Legend of Korra, you have metal benders. It's across the board.
Yeah.
You have... Almost all the fire users can use lightning bending, but we also get lava bending in that series. And I think we get blood bending was also built out of water. So you have a continual building of the magic system. I was going more with Avatar, the James Cameron series.
Oh, okay.
For showing more of an interconnection in world building is you can interconnect and connect with the life forms of the neural network, which allows us to share memories from the past with ancestors. In a sense, it's not magic, but it's a sense of technology, and these rules work for technology as well.
Yes, especially in science fiction.
Yeah, so he's basically applying the same thing to science fiction versus magic. And if you look at the world of Pandora, everything's interconnected.
Oh, yeah.
And even the stuff we haven't seen yet, and we'll see in the forthcoming 4 movies...
Or 3, or no, I don't know.
It's actually 4.
Oh, God. All right.
Maybe 5? No, I think it's only 4.
Jeez.
But anyway, we'll see. We'll learn more about that stuff. But it just kind of goes to show interconnection, but streamlining helps with everything and making it more realistic.
Yeah.
For that. And then we're going to talk about Sanderson's Zero Law.
Oh, what's a Zero Law?
And he just has this because the author of iRobot had one.
Isaac Asimov?
Yeah, so he wanted to have one too. And that is, his Zero Law is make magic awesome.
Just make it awesome.
Make it awesome.
Okay.
But there you go. Those are the 3 Sanderson laws. He does have more, but they're not streamlined like these ones. They're finite, so they're not out.
Okay.
He said he may someday reveal them if they get more polished, but that's what he does. And he uses it to refine it after he's written his magic system.
Oh, cool.
So it's not like he goes in like, oh, okay, I gotta do this and this and this. No, he writes down, he does what he wants to do.
And then refines from there.
Then he uses this to make sure it works.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, let us know your thoughts down below, because that's all we have today on Sanderson's 3 Laws. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Do you think there should be magic? Should there not be magic? Rules.
Yeah.
Not magic. There should be magic. Always magic. Even sci-fi. Magic! Also, and let us just know your thoughts on there. And maybe some of your tips that you use to streamline your own systems and forward.
Yeah.
Adam, anything last to add to that?
Go ahead and smash that like button. Join the notification squad. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter.
Yeah. If you want to know more about writing, I do have my own channel over at T Green Books, where I'm going through characters as a series right now and how to develop good characters on that.
Cool.
If Adam remembers, he'll put a link to my channel in the description.
Maybe I don't know.
Or maybe after he posts this, I will go through and add it myself. Because I do have the key to get in.
I know. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, have a great week.
Yep. Tune back in for another episode next week where we'll be talking about the debate over wonder of magic versus rules of magic.
All right.
Later.